We're rolling.
Yeah.
Hello, Cathy.
Hello.
I'm excited to have you here today. Few and far between we get to chat, but when you agreed to this, I had to go through your publicist and your HR rep, but we finally locked you down for 26
I'm
minutes.
glad it worked out.
I'm excited because for the first time out of 12 calls, I bought a new shirt for you.
Wow.
I'm going to switch my background for you. I want to make this exclusive.
Wow.
Okay.
Feeling good.
Don't pass out. Okay, here we go. Cathy, tell us a little bit about you for those who don't know you.
I was born in San Juan. No, I'm just kidding.
My favorite.
Started '02, All-American Scholarship winner, branched the next summer, went DM my third summer in 2004. And many people don't know, I was actually a struggling DM. I was thinking about shutting down after my first summer. After my first fall, it looked like that definitely needed to happen. It was not very exciting, and I was not in a good place financially. And went through and said, okay, one more January program, and went through that. And I know 5 was okay, but I was still kind of on the struggle bus and not having a lot of fun. And it was that fall when I went to SLC. I was connected with Rachel Gluck and Ryan Casey. Had a chance to go cross training with both of them, and that completely changed the trajectory of my career. The next year in 2006, I doubled my business and did $1 million, and the rest was history. I haven't not done $1 million since, and so I learned a ton from them and had some incredible mentors along the way. So I was a district manager for 10 years. And absolutely loved it. We crushed the world from that point forward, and then went to transition to DVC in 2015, moved to Texas. So those 10 years of DM, I hopped all over South Florida from East Coast, West Coast, and then came over to Texas, and it's been really fun. And so now teaching others, how to build what I built, and it was really exciting to get to do that.
So I love your 10 years DM. So you've got a pretty good understanding of the business. And if I'm wrong, you said that since 2005, that was your struggle bus year. 2006 and above, you've never done less than $1 million?
Correct.
Okay, not bad. I'm glad we have you on the call. Current office, you're in Texas, in Houston?
Yep. Yeah, we're in Houston. My pilot is Clear Lake, but it's southeast Houston. Mm-hmm.
Great. It was funny because I know we were chatting. It's like, hey, have you ever hit President's Banquet before? Kind of like joking. You're like every year for 14 years.
15 years.
15 years. Alrighty then. That's good. What I love though too is that you had mentioned that you have 7 silver cups, and then 9 times you had finished number 1. And I think the only time that somebody had beaten you was your division manager.
Yeah.
Hey, it's anything that you're proud of. I know you just went through a laundry list of success, in the field. Anything you're proud of that you like to share?
Yeah, I think the thing I was most proud of was building a life, like the life that I wanted, like getting to design my life. And once things clicked as a DM, and that first $1 million year in 2006, then the next year in 2007 was really learning how to develop high-flying sales reps and development. And had, more offices go out. And in 2008, things finally really came together. We had a $1.1 million summer, and I really learned how to work through all of my people. And really from that point, starting in 2007, but more in 2008, I was traveling at least 4 to 6 months out of the year. And then 2008 to 2009, I was traveling a little bit more. It was kind of a running joke over in the Eastern regions. It was always gone.
Yeah.
But that's I wanted to travel and see the world and see my family. And so I worked really hard in season and had incredible systems put in place that allowed my business to keep running when I was gone. And so that's something I'm really proud of, is being able to put systems in place that allowed us to keep rocking 200 to 300K non-summer campaigns while I wasn't there. And working with my people, through my people, and then coming back to absolutely crush the season. So that's probably what I'm most proud of, because it's allowed me to lay an incredible foundation that now, being married, I can be we're in California right now, and we'll be in Cleveland next week. And last week, I was in St. Louis, and be able to do, fun things that we want to do, personal growth conferences, visit family, while we, continue to build our business.
That's great. It's just cool because we talk about the flexibility, we talk about the entrepreneurship, the run your own business, and you're actually living it. I know sometimes in my career, I was just like, I would say those things, but deep down it's like, I'm not doing any of those, but it sounds cool. And it sounds like you really walked that walk. You said it and you did it. I see a common trend amongst a lot of the interviews that I'm designing my business and I'm getting to where I do what I want to do. I notice I'm such powerful leaders such as yourself. I'm designing my business. So you're really taking hold of that. It's great. You're going to Leaf next week in Cleveland?
I am.
I will see you there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Let's jump into the goods. By the way, the first 3 minutes is never just the intros, it's formality. I just love hearing people's stories because that can be an inspiration for a manager in Idaho and Mississippi and New York. And just, hey, I really want to design my business. And I think that's great. So I like asking veteran managers such as yourself, who's been doing it for a long, long time, 10 plus years, 14 years. Hey, what do you wish you knew as a new manager? Go back a couple of years and I'm brand new. Here's the goods.
Well, I can tell you from when things clicked for me in 2008, because 2007 we were crushing it. I mean, we were at 1.2 million by August, but I was so unhappy, and I didn't really know much about my people. Like it seemed like I had to work so hard to produce the business, and I wasn't sure that it was worth like the energy I was pouring in, and I wasn't filling up. And that next year, I remember we were number one that year. Number two behind my DVM before we had, all the split silver cups. And I remember being at P Banquet January of 2008. And I was checking in at the hotel, the Bellagio. And Justin Donald is super tan. And he was one of my mentors and great friends. And he looks over and he's like, hey, Kat, and he's like, congrats on last year, number one. And I was like, thanks. And so here I am, though. I'm like pale, tired. I look sick as hell. He goes, you've learned to become the best office manager in our company. He goes, learn how to be a business owner or you're going to burn yourself out. And I was like, huh? And that but I remember when he said that, and I go, what do you mean? And he goes, you're a great office manager. You're not a good business owner. And I got kind of offended at first, what are you talking about? And then he looked at me and he said, take pride in being the best teacher of things. Can you be the best developer of people? Can you be the best, take pride in your people being better than you? But I remember him saying that to me and he goes, when you, a lot of times, for us as younger entrepreneurs, we take pride in being the best and doing everything the best. And sometimes we have low patience in teaching other people how to do things, right? We're like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Cause I'm going to do it better and it's easier and it's less stress if I just do it myself. But if you always do it yourself, you're never able to multiply yourself, And so he that's something that he had mentioned and it really struck home. And that year in 2008, that was a big focus of mine was, okay, how do I become the best teacher of things? And then getting systems in place so that I could be a business owner, not just an office manager, and it's okay to put in your time. Your first 2-3 years, you need to be in there, for those who haven't heard my talk before, from, I believe it was 2014. If you go to SLC Talks, Building the Dream, you need to listen to that because it's something, it's also on my website. And I always send people to watch that and listen to understand the phases of a business, right? So at first, you need to work your ass off, and if you didn't build it right in those first 3 years, it might take you 5 years or 7 years, and I've told some of my DMs, I'm like, if you didn't do it right before, you might be in your 10th year and be starting all over again.
Yes.
Because there's a certain level of you need to build the systems and you're growing this child and there's different things that, along the way that need to be there. And so at first you're paying a lot more attention, you're there more, but you're setting systems in place and you're teaching them so that you can get to a place where your business is a quote unquote teenager or adult and you're able to leave at home and they can take care of themselves, check in with them, guide them, give them rules, but you don't have to spoon feed them like you do your 1-year-old or 2-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So just really understanding that difference. And so that's what 2008 was, setting systems in place, just structure. And it was like clockwork. It was amazing what happened when we did that.
It's so funny looking back now and listening to these things. how mediocre of a manager I actually was. Cause like all these things you're saying, I'm like, like I thought I knew that, but I didn't. Your child analogy, I don't have children, but like watching my nephews grow and seeing what my siblings had done with their children, seeing some of my friends, it's like, there are no nights off. There are even the commercials is like, hey, I got to take the day off. And he's like talking to his son in the crib. It's like, there are no days off. And I love that because I started asking the question like, hey, if your office was your child and you've been a manager for the first 8 months with your time, energy, and focus, how is your child right now if it was a real baby? And it's astonishing the amount of people like, it wouldn't be, like they just give horrible answers. Like, it would not be a good thing. I'm like, all right, it's just an analogy, you know? So
yeah.
I love that when you ask the question, some people get overwhelmed by the answer. You asked yourself the question, how do I become the best at ... And you're not questioning yourself, man, why do I need to do this? Or gosh, what's going to happen then? You're almost just like asking yourself a question, how do I become the best? And that's just a powerful trait that I really respect and appreciate from your answer. It's an empowering, how do I become the best? And I want
to take that further. It's how do I become the best teacher of blank?
That's it. And then the second part is like teacher of people.
Yeah, because that's where you have to master what, really, really understand what you're doing and not just like where you're doing it on autopilot or it's like a personality thing. Now you have to really go, wait a second, what am I actually doing so I can replicate myself, so I can teach this. Right. And that right there, like when you start really thinking about that, that's where it can get really exciting, for your business.
Just thinking back, like imagine if we knew that, or if I knew that in the beginning, because I was never one to delegate too soon. I was very prideful of doing it all on your own. What I didn't realize is that the development pool is very little, or only people just like you. Right. And then starting to ask people to do things like it's you watch me, I'm going to show you, we talk about it, like that kind of development. And then it was starting to develop after the first couple of years. Imagine if our new management staff understood the systems, understood the fundamentals soon, worked the year to 18 months, and then just replicating themselves, watching people, having them watch you, vacuum after the interview. Like you're not too prideful to do things, but you also don't do everything. Really great, Cathy. I do hope our new management staff takes that into consideration of work hard first and learn it, but then replicate. Because if you're the only person doing it, not cool to cheer by yourself when you win, right?
No, I mean, I don't know that anybody went DM. I always joke around with my guys, but I'm like, I don't know that anyone was like, I want to be a branch forever. Like, yes, sign me up. Let's do this. Yeah. Like, no, like branch is a stepping stone and it's the startup phase. That's the hardest part of a business is the startup. And then when it's young, right? Again, like birthing a child. And so like those first couple years of building the right habits, setting the right systems, teaching the right things. But if you actually do it the right way and you lay that foundation, like, it's incredible, like how everything else can build off of that. But too many people try to cut corners, try to delegate, too early without taking the time to like really know and walk through like, okay, what's your system for this? Okay, what's your system? Like you have to have your programs, your systems of exactly how things are done, where there's like a 1, 2, 3 step and like they know what needs to happen for this, what needs to happen for this, So I had for myself where there was like daily to-dos for the staff of like, this is what needs to get done on a Monday. This is what needs to get done on a Tuesday. Like, so just real simple, even when I was there with them, because it kept us making sure things were getting done, and it was like, set your PRs, make sure to set up people for their PCs, like just the simple tasks that needed to get done. That way things didn't get forgotten. Right. And so then when I was out of town visiting my family, or when I went to SLC, as things started happening later and I started traveling, like they already knew like clockwork what needed to happen because we would do it together. Right. So that was big for the staff. And then for sales reps, one of the things actually Justin had taught me is like, you need to get structure into their schedules. Like this job is a double-edged sword, right? So it is so flexible. It's so awesome. Everybody's reps are excited about it, but they do nothing because they're not handed a schedule of like, you must do this or show up for this. Right. So our like human being, like they need structure as much as they love freedom and whatever, they need structure. And that's where, I started switching verbiage where it was like, this job is awesome because you get to make your own schedule, but you need to make one, so it's like at Burger King, they hand you your schedule. Here, you get to make it and hand it to us. But then it's our job to hold you accountable to that. And that's what we're counting on, is the schedule, that you have there. And so, but the beauty is that every week you get to make it. And so what we do is we make a normal schedule for you for week to week. And then as a week comes, maybe you have a vacation one week, maybe you have your friend's birthday and you guys are going out on the boat on Saturday, maybe, and so things change that week. And so that's fine. When you come in on Sunday or Monday, whenever we do your payroll and schedules, then we can adjust it. But let's make a normal week to week. So it's like fast start, like go crush it, do as much as your schedule permits, like you never get it again. After your fast start, we'll sit down and make a normal week to week schedule. And so that we did that in the summer. And that transitioned into the fall. And I remember Matt King, my DVM for a long time, like that was something that he really instilled with us was, in the fall, and Scott Dennis, of just like, I remember Scott saying like, celebrate mediocrity, but it's like, you want a lot of people working part-time in the fall and spring, and even in the summertime, like if they can just have a structure. So in the summer, it was like, pick how many days. Are you going to work 2 to 3 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week? Like how many days a week do you want to work? And then are you somebody who's doing 3 to 5 demos a day? Are you going for 5 to 7 demos? What is it? And so looking at, is there a certain amount of income they need to make or a certain amount of time they want to work? And it's usually a combo of both, but just knowing from reps, like, what's the amount of money you have to make in order for this to still be worth it for you? Right.
I love that question.
What's the amount of money you have to make that this is still worth it for you?
To be still worth it for you. Ooh.
Right.
That's nice.
So they're like, as long as they make $100 a week, like they'll keep showing up. Right. I'm like, hey, there's always that bottom, like I have to make at least this much in this job or it's not worth it. But then it's like, and then what's your goal to be earning? And they're like, I want to be making $300 a week or $500 a week or whatever. But there's that minimum number of like, well, if I'm not making this, like, there's no point in me working here,
Oh, Cathy,
so
that right there is awesome. That is great. Because we use these words of, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
What's the minimum? What's the must? And we're talking through our language. But when somebody's 18, it's like, what do you mean my must, should, could? I don't know. I want to make like $500. I want to make like $25. What's the amount to make this worth it to you? Oh, like ding of dings right there.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. And that was because there were a lot of, like then you get insight on people and then it's like, okay. And then so then I could show them and go, okay, all you need to do to get that done is make sure you're completing 5 appointments a week and you're always going to hit that must number. Now, if we did this and just using averages, using their numbers or national averages, whichever was higher is typically how I showed them what was possible. And then it was like, hey, you'll land somewhere in between depending on how you commit yourself to your skill sets and what you're doing. But if they wanted to earn $500 a week, it's like, all right, well, you're at 20%. So for right now, here's what this is going to take. Right. And it was like, 2,500, which is going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 sales, back then. And that means that you want to be completing, 12, you want to ensure it, 15 appointments. So 15 appointments completed. So what does that look like? Are you willing to work 5 days a week to earn $500 plus? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so if I'm you, I'm trying to do 4+ demos 5 days a week, or maybe 2 days you're doing 3 demos and then 3 days you're going for 5+ demos, right? Like bigger days. And just like working that consistent, work it like a quote unquote full-time job, because most students to earn $500 a week have to work 40 hours a week, or more.
if that, busting their hump every Friday night, every Saturday double shift. I mean, one of the only areas I know a person could earn that would be in the food business, the tipping aspect of it.
I was a waitress before.
Waitress, that's it. So $15 an hour, it's going to be hard to make $500 a week. But when you had tips and you really got to hustle, what I really like about you, Cathy, is that your structure, but it's through questions. And I notice sometimes the managers they're good at what they say, but I notice that it's almost too good. It's like rehearse in some cases. And I was one of those managers. I was really good at just boom, 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 boom. Does that make sense? And that's the only question I asked them was, does that make sense? Versus, well, how much money do you want to make this worth it to you? Okay, great. And then even like step further, well, why is that amount of money important to you? Hey, is there a number that makes it exciting to make this? Okay, so to take what you said and take where you want to go, that would take you about 12 appointments. What's your schedule look like? You're coaching them to get structured, for them, through them. I want our new managers to replay that last 5 minutes and just the questions that you can ask on a PC. Now, if you're brand new and you've got you and maybe one on staff, when are you having these conversations with people?
Right after their fast start. So we would do our PSP, paycheck schedule, and phone jam or personal consultation either Sunday or Mondays. But whenever, like right after their fast start, when they're brand new, and then every week when they come in to turn in their stuff, we sit down and look at it. But it's really their day 11, PC, like right at the end of their fast start. We just made sure to make a normal schedule. Like we did their PC, sharing goals, all that, but then it was just like, let's make a normal schedule. So at post fast start, so it's like fast start, we made their schedule and training. Post fast start, we'll sit down and make a normal week to week. So I always told people, in your first week, I always encourage people, go all out, whatever that is for you. For some of you, that's 2 a day. For some of you, it's 9 a day. But like, do what you can. You never get your fast start back. After your fast start, we'll sit down and make a normal week to week. Part-timers typically work 2 or 3 days a week, and our full-timers work 4 to 6 days a week. Depending on your personal goals, time you want to work, money you want to make, we'll make a schedule that works perfect for you. And so after their fast start, we always sit down and create structure. When it comes to the fall and spring, I tell my students, like my students work 1 to 3 days a week. Like the average, it's 1.5 days. Like one day they'll do 2 or 3 demos, and one day they'll do 4 to 6 demos. They'll blitz it, but I tell my students, like, pick a number. Are you on the focus 5? I'm completing 5 no matter what every week that's happening. Is it lucky 7? I'm doing my 7 no matter what. Like that's my must number, not my goal. That's like, count on me for 7 no matter what. We have the perfect 10 and the dirty dozen, and those are typically our scholarship winners.
Are these things you actually say, the focus 5, lucky 7, perfect 10, dirty dozen?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So those are our 4 levels that I've used for, I don't know, over a decade.
Wow.
And
it might be working.
Yeah, I know. My new guys need to, like listen in. Like it's so easy, but they're like, oh, I'm part of the dirty dozen. Oh, I'm like, very few people are part of that during school because I understand you've got football, it's football season, and you have, your extracurriculars, and you have homework, and you have family time, and I don't want you working full time during school. And here's the beauty of this job: if you rock your fast start, you can then work part time and make a full time income. So just working those 2 days and completing 8 appointments, when your skills are on lock, you're having 5 or 6 sales, you're selling $1,500 to $2,000, and you're making, when you're newer, $300 to $500. When you're at Dirty 30, you're earning $500 to $700, working like 2 days. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting opportunity, and it's all about like, get your foundations down, right? Which Drew talks about. I love in Rocky Mountain, they use this CPR certified, but that's something always for us. It's like Rex, phones, and closing, making sure they have those down. And for me, it's in that order. Like they have to be great at Rex first. So this is the last tip that I'd give to a new person is like, you have to make sure your people, like from their first week, have the Rex down. I don't care how great they are on the phones or closing yet. We can get them good at that. But if they don't have people to contact, they don't have confidence they have a business, they're out. So you've got to make sure that they have a business, all right, by having recommendations. Then you need to make sure they get comfortable on the phone, all right, that they're comfortable reading through the phone approach, interacting, answering questions. Are they good at building urgency to get appointments when they want to get them? Are they good at handling objections, And so just making sure they have that structure so that they can get booked up when they want to be booked up. And then get them increasing their average order and closing. Like in the beginning, I checked their closing, but it's very simple. Like, hey, close me real quick. Like in their first week, just to see it, to make sure, are they reading it? Are they building value properly? Are they writing numbers down? That's all I'm looking for. I'm not diving in anything else. I just want to know, are they actually following the manual with confidence? And are they writing numbers down and asking for the order, right? That's all I want to know, that they're learning in the beginning. And as soon as they have their, close memorized, or they feel good about it, like they're going to do it for me. Again, but I have a whole system for developing reps. It's totally separate. But just as a new person, if your people don't have people to call, you're going to lose them, period. So have structure, make sure they have people to contact, and you can teach them everything, along the way.
I know I've heard this, but I go to the gym consultation. I sign up for the gym and he walks me through this schedule, and I'm not a breakfast person. I just don't enjoy it. So I skip breakfast. Lunch, yeah, I'll eat it. If there's an apple, if there's some goldfish, I'll probably crush a sandwich here or there. But for dinner, I gorge. And he called that the snowman diet. And he's like, the downfall about the snowman diet is that you're doing it this way when you should be starting off, like you're starting off small, if anything, and then you're building high. The downfall is that that big one is at the end of the night. Hence your sales, then your phoning, and then your recos gets a little bit. He flipped it over for me. He's like, the snowman should actually look like this, where your money comes from your recos. That's your base. Your middle ground would be your phoning, and then have a light dinner, aka your sales. And in training, it was like sales, sales, sales. And we'd have a pretty good fast start, but then by day 11 or day 13, they vanish. And it wouldn't come out until later on when somebody's like, I made the big sales in my family, but I just didn't have anyone else to call. And it was such a gut punch. So what you just said there really helped fine tune for me if I were to go back, the snowman diet. Little breakfast, I don't do that versus, hey, really teach some hard recos because the sales are going to happen no matter what. Phoning, mediocre, and then the sales will come. I just felt compelled to share that because it really made sense of where our focus should be. We're not just that big sales deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't change the focus of sales, and training. Everything's the same. It's just you as a manager, are you conscious in their first day when you see them, when they come to advanced training? Like for me, I want to check their recs. Like, let me see your recs and want to see how they're doing with that. Because between Monday and Wednesday, like by their first team meeting, we have got to make sure that they feel super confident on how to get 10 or more recs each time before they go into their second weekend of their fast start. So again, nothing changes in training. There's just more attention to how are they doing with their recs, and let's make sure they're set up for success. To whether it's sitting down with them with a chair and their chair is their role play partner. If you don't have staff or an assistant manager, and just sit and say, I get paid every time I show Kako. I gave this at my table to people who were there. I said, I call it the three main bullets: the job, the joke, the reminder. What's the job? I get paid every time I show Cutco. I can only show people I'm recommended to. What's the joke? Oh, what I need you to do is write down 200 to 300 people who might be nice enough to take a look. Just kidding, whatever, 20, 30. And then the reminder, I'm not looking for anyone you think would buy, just anyone nice like you to take a look. Those three things, like the job, the joke, the reminder, like they've got to get that down, and that's easy. And when you have it like that, it's like, what's the job? I get paid every time I show it. I'm like, yeah, and who do you show? People that I'm recommended. Perfect, that's the job. What's the joke? And then, okay, well, what's the reminder? And so it makes it really simple, and even for the representative to get that so that they can go execute that, even if nothing else. If they have that down, they're going to get more recs and they're going to feel more confident.
You've just found a way to compartmentalize the simplest of things. And I just understand why this has never been talked about. Like, this should be an SLC message or a weekly thing to our managers. So then I made a new circle because I'm an artist. It's equal sales, phoning, and recos, but it's through the accountability and a follow-up. That you can only teach it, but your teaching is only as good as your follow-up and accountability. So on Monday, let me see your order forms. Where does recos fall into play? Where does the phone approach fall into play? So you make them all equal, but your follow-up is really the difference maker.
Right.
Cathy, this is so good. Yeah, this is great. Well, it's about that time wrapping up. Is there any last 60 seconds to 2 minutes of just wrap up if you were to talk to our new managers and they're kind of in that Cathy rut of 2005, 2006, or maybe they're starting to find their way on the struggle bus, like they're on the struggle bus, but they're sitting backwards? Anything that you would suggest? Any last final?
I would say, making sure, I love that you're doing this, John, because I think that this is so helpful, right? Like, we didn't have anything like this before. And so I'd say, like, reach out to people and hear like what's working. And so listening to stuff like this is amazing. Like, if there's groups within your region, there's the national calls that are happening, like there's just so many resources. So like, get plugged in. For me, when I let my pride down and said, you know what, like, I'm not great at this. There's people who are kicking my ass and I need to learn what they're doing. And when I let that pride down, because I think the pride held me back my first couple of years, because I was like really badass sales rep, I was a top branch manager. But then I realized, like, I'm not really good at this district manager thing. Like, I just wasn't that good at it. And so that was, it was totally like a sucker punch, like in those first 2 years. And once I let my pride down, I was like, all right, I just want to learn from the best and I want to learn to be great.
Yeah.
And I just followed what they were doing and just keep it simple. You know, some people overcomplicate, so keep it simple. And keep it simple for your people. As you've seen, as I talk about stuff, it's like structure, they know, and in their schedule, like they know when they're phoning, they know when it's date night, they know when they're studying, when are they having family dinner, like all that's in there. I put all their personal stuff and their Cutco stuff, you know, because I don't want, they're not good at time management. They're like, I'm going to work every day all the time. And I'm like, yeah. And then your parents are going to tell you to quit because they never see you,
right.
Or your boyfriend, girlfriend's going to hate you. So we make a schedule with all the things, right? And then we have to make sure people are mastering the basics. And if we're doing that, you're going to be retaining more people and you're going to start seeing those layers build and it gets more exciting. Because if not, you guys all know the game. It's just burn and turn, you know, like you're just going. So if you want to develop layers and you're not going to keep everybody, but you know, can your goal be that how can you retain 1 to 2 people from each training class, like through the whole campaign, you know? And now all of a sudden you've got 15 plus people going into your second campaign. And now you're at 20 plus people going into your next campaign, you know, and it gets exciting. And that's what we built in Miami over years and why we were able to dominate year after year. But you know, how many are you going to be able to keep? And again, it might not even be that many, but just having a focus of like, who am I really going to work with and develop, you know, through this fall. And they get to go into the spring or into next year and really making that a focus.
This is great. That's it. Rock and roll. Thank you so much. Structure, simplify, systems, schedule. I mean, this is great. This has been a very informative, simplistic, systematic, but like the hows to do it. And this just, in a way, just keeps the momentum shifting for some people. And I really appreciate it. So
yeah.
The last minute before we go, though, is our lightning round of fun questions.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
I don't know. Let's see.
Okay. Okay, here we go. We got 1 minute of questions. If you don't know, you pass.
Okay.
Got it? Okay, ready, set, go. What is the state capital of Texas?
Pass.
Don't you live in Texas?
I just moved there. I don't know. I'm like Dallas.
Okay. When we were younger, we played the game duck, duck,
goose.
Hey, you got it. Okay, when is your birthday?
August 18th.
Hey, you're 2 for 2. August 15th?
18th.
Okay, just double checking. What does a butterfly turn into from?
Caterpillar.
Hey, very good. What is the
cocoon
stuff that you put up on the walls, like in your bedroom?
What did you say?
What's like the paper stuff that you put up on the walls in your bedroom?
Your posters.
Very good. You're the first person to get that. What are these?
Keys.
Nailed it. Okay, what's this?
Water bottle.
Oh my gosh. What's the big ride that you get on at like a fair that does this?
The Ferris wheel.
Oh my gosh, at the buzzer. And my last question to you is that what's the first thing you say when you pick up the phone?
Hello. That's what I say.
I'm not going to lie. Okay. Can we go back and review the questions real quick? The state capital of Texas, the state of which you live in, is Austin.
Thank you.
Duck, duck, goose.
I said Dallas or Austin, yeah.
August 18th, you got your birthday correct. The caterpillar. Everybody I've asked, what's the paper that you put up on your walls? They would say wallpaper, and you actually got it right. It's posters. Look at you. Didn't know the state capital of the state you live in, but nail the posters. I was actually looking for empty water bottle and not just water bottle. I'll give you half credit for that. And then when you pick up the phone, it's this one. It's hello. You got close to it. Cathy, congratulations on number 4 in Vector West DMs for President's Banquet. You can add on another year. We will see you in Vegas and top 10 overall for all DVMs. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope to see you sooner than later.
Absolutely. And everybody have fun in Vegas. This is actually my first year in 15 years that I will not be there because baby arrives the week prior. So I will be new
Maybe we'll
mommy.
FaceTime you. Get you a couple.
Yeah, I will be there.
Red, Cathy. Black or red? Okay, blackjack. Do I hit it or I? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can gamble for me for sure.
Hey, to end like you did, I love this. All right.